Hi there, everyone, and welcome to our MBA introduction webinar, where we'll be talking through the changes to the course and how it can benefit your career as well. We have Katie Ashworth, who will be talking through the admissions process. We have Steve Wilks, who will be talking through the business course as well. So if I hand over now to Steve, who will get things going. Over to you, Steve.
Okay, let's go there. So the MBA, what can we say? It's generally the flagship course of any business school, and we can certainly say that that's true for us here at Kaplan. As we've said, we've got a number of speakers here. That's me on the left, Steve Wilks. Steve Livesey is, as you can see, our Director of Learning Technology. And Katie is there on the right, and she'll be saying one or two things about admissions a bit later on. Okay. So the agenda, general overview of the MBA, looking at course structure. We'll be having a bit of a discussion about the Director's Workshop. That's a key component of the MBA as it is at the moment. I'm going to talk to you at some length really about AMBA accreditation because of its importance. It has a great deal of meaning when you walk away from your studies and you've got an AMBA accredited MBA. So we'll talk about that in some detail. We'll then get on to entry requirements and then about your future, I suppose, and how you'll study and the general application process. I think it's also worth mentioning that it's understandable why people actually study photography. It's clearly something I need to do because that photograph looks very strange, doesn't it? The head of a man on the body of a child almost, but we'll see how we go anyway. So, yes, here we are. We are Essex Online. Our awarding body is the University of Essex. Turns out to have been the University of the Year, according to Times Higher Education Awards in 2018. And it does very well every year anyway, but it certainly topped the accolade that year. Student satisfaction. That's an important factor, isn't it? You want to know that where you're going, other people have been and they found it okay. We've got close to 90% there for student satisfaction. Again, that's coming from a reputable body, the National Student Survey, and that's 2020. And on top of that, we note that we're rated gold in terms of the UK government's Teaching Excellence Framework. That was given to us in 2018. Again, that's quite a considerable accolade, and a lot of work goes in to obtaining that recognition from the government. That leads us into the truth about this, which is we're sector leading. Kaplan Open Learning has been delivering courses online for many years now, very many years. And that teaching excellence is noted in how we deliver our courses. But in addition to a cohort of tutors that are very well versed in how to deliver good, interesting, effective, and valuable higher education courses, it's combined with what is also necessary. It's necessary from our point of view that we combine that teaching excellence with academic rigor to make sure that what you're doing is correct and recognized as correct by the people you end up going to work for. And that's enabled by some pretty cutting edge technology. Our learning technology staff here are very adept at producing very interesting and engaging presentations on the virtual learning environment, which the platform we use is something called Moodle. You may have experienced that already, or something similar like Blackboard. Once you've done your study, and presumably and hopefully you will be successful in that, you'll receive your degree from a top university. Essex was one of the best. But the big thing about that is you can do that from the comfort of your own home. It's obvious, I realise, but nevertheless, it's the truth. And in these interesting times we're experiencing at the moment, the ability to study without necessarily having to put yourself at risk, I think that's worth a bit as well, actually. All our courses in the business department are career focused. You wouldn't expect anything else. And we are indeed in the fortunate position to have our courses delivered by leading sector authorities and very experienced academics. Some of our academics have been with us for very many years, and clearly very successfully. So we're very happy about that. AMBA, what does that mean? AMBA, the Association of Master of Business Administration. It's, as you can see, it's a global standard. We're extremely proud of the fact that we gained AMBA accreditation, as we're only one of the very, very few online universities to receive AMBA accreditation. As I say, it's the global standard for MBA programs. And indeed, it's only held by about 2% of the world's business schools anyway. But one of those includes Essex Business School. So the good thing also about that is if you join and study your MBA with us, you'll also be joining, essentially, you'll be joining a community, a global community of about 35,000 students and alumni based over 150 countries. And you'll gain access to a remarkable network opportunities, career advice, and continued learning. I was one who didn't place a great deal of value in networking. I thought it was just people having a bit of a chat. But if we put it into the context of a business community, what we find is that networking opportunity and capability is an extremely valuable thing as you progress through your career. What did AMBA say about themselves then? Well, they say that their service is global standard for the MBA. Top 2%, our research and insight centers produce a rich body of reports. They go on to explore global trends in the business sector, that drives global thoughts of leadership and also public affairs campaigns. And that, excuse me, do apologize. They're the only professional membership association that connects students and graduates with all of the various accredited business schools around the world. So there's that emphasis on networking again. So through that membership, we're looking at what's being built as an international force for good championing of best practice in the business world. It gives you access to lots and lots of other information as well. So getting that MBA through an AMBA accredited university also gives you access to AMBA itself and everything that goes along with that. So it takes us on to the course itself. I'm sure this is probably the bit you're anxious to know most about. And you can see we've got quite a considerable number of modules there that make up the full MBA. I'll just stop for a moment while you take that list in, and then I'll return to you. a feature of this MBA is the fact that the majority of modules are valued at 10 credits each, except for 2. And one of those is something called business planning, and that consists of a considerable body of work. And then, of course, as is the case with all academic degree courses, there will be a project to study as well. What we'll do is we'll just have a look at a couple of these modules and put a bit of detail to that. If we look at data and analytics, what's said about this, and certainly what the module investigates, is the truth that in today's business world, data and information are critical to the creation and sustaining of getting a firm into a position where it's got competitive advantage. That's a difficult thing to get, and it's even more difficult to keep. Nevertheless, it's all data driven these days, so that module aims to equip you with knowledge, understanding, and skills on how to assess what's coming along, emerging technologies, things that affect business, society in general, and it will also help you understand those key concepts in data and information management and how it gets applied in the real world to a business situation. It goes on then to help with critical analysis of complex structures, how we manage unstructured data, the things that come in from all directions that need to be thought about and collated to give us a good picture of the real business world. And it also looks at the role of information and analytics in supporting the development of what is critical, absolutely crucial to the world at this time, which is the development of innovative and sustainable growth strategies. There's a big question about continued growth in a finite system. So data and analytics would be a very useful thing, or a useful skill to have under your belt when we're looking at how we manage business and the world of commerce sustainably. The first module you will find yourself studying, if you decide to come and study with us, is a module called Leading with Impact. And the overarching objective of that module is to develop your understanding of leadership within organizations. You know, we often think about management and managers, and that's absolutely fine, but a well-managed company might not necessarily be well led. And this looks at the way we develop leadership, effective leadership in people that are heading organizations or parts of organizations. That's equally important. Introduces you to a wide range of models of theories, topics within leadership, and highlights the central debates within that field, which is an ever-moving, fluid situation. Leadership doesn't sort of stop. The development of leadership continues. It covers what we would think of as traditional approaches to leadership, which are equally valid as new ones that come along. Nevertheless, they may need to be modified, and we think about that, and we'll certainly discuss that as you go through. By the time you get to the end of that module, I've developed a critical appreciation of what leadership in modern organizations is all about. And with that, the underpinning knowledge in terms of the theories of leadership, you'll be able to take that knowledge and apply it in your own requirements when it comes to leading parts of the organization you work for. We think about another module of innovation and entrepreneurship for new business modules. And this one will provide you with frameworks and skills to lead innovative projects and ventures within the organizational setting that you find yourself in. Innovation and entrepreneurship, absolute lifeblood of business. Most developments, it's fairly true to say, are innovations rather than brand new inventions. But even if you've got an excellent innovation, it looks like it's going to fly, it's still going to take entrepreneurship to get it from it being a concept out into the real world where people will get their wallet out and part with cash for it. You're also going to gain a critical understanding of the economic, the sociological, the psychological, and all the managerial theories of enterprise creation and development that come along with that, and how we apply those concepts in a business world, a global business world. The focus, everything that sort of surrounds it, is the formation of new ventures. You'd expect that in a module where entrepreneurship is a key part. Looking at products, processes, services, business models, innovation itself, and how that impacts on economic and social development in different environments. It's going to provide you with a framework, a solid framework of theoretical concepts that you'll be able to study and practice. And it gives you a study of the investigation of enterprise developments and three critical components of entrepreneurship, which are entrepreneurial people, entrepreneurial organizations, and the entrepreneurial or environment that those organizations and people exist and work within. It also goes on then to provide insight into models for the practice of entrepreneurship and innovation in different organizational and economic environments. So we just looked at sort of three modules there. Whenever you study a module, there's always an assignment, and these are no exception. So what can you expect when you're in a module such as we just described? We've got a variety of assessment methods. We've got a section, a component of this, which is called discussion forums and journal entry reports. Pretty much describes it well from the name, discussion forums, and that's the key to it, the actual contribution to the discussion as it unfolds, and your thinking that goes along with your narrative that you're creating is what you're going to be assessed on in that type of thing. Once you've finished those discussion forums and journal entries and presentation portfolios, this is fairly standard stuff. If you've studied business subjects in the past, you'll know that it always contains presentations. Your work will be assessed and you'll receive your feedback within 7 days. That's a policy, and the feedback you'll get will help you with future assignments. Feedback for learning, extremely important, as I'm sure you know. Apart from your tutors, access to your tutors, you will have other resources such as the University of Essex e-library, and you'll be instructed on how to use that effectively. Electronic resources sometimes need some guidance, and you'll receive that, and additional guidance, if you need it, will be available just by asking, as you would expect. To complement everything that's going along there will be other sources, other resources, such as appropriate and good quality YouTube videos. And if you've not accessed TED Talks before, can I encourage you to do so? There's a world of subjects on there on TED for you to enjoy, and there's a considerable body of work, specifically in terms of business. So as you go along with the assessment methods and resources, there'll be plenty of reading for you to do, and on top of all of that, there will be live question and answer sessions with your module tutor. So there's already, I think you're starting to gain a flavor of the fact that there's quite a lot of what we refer to as synchronous activity. Again, people that have studied online before will be fully aware of what synchronous means. It simply means real time, all in the same place, studying live with your tutor. Much of what you do, of course, as well, will be what we call asynchronous, and that's one of the valuable features about online learning, is when you can do things in your own time. Nevertheless, we can't get away from the fact that part of an accreditation process means that the professional body that accredits you will have specific requirements. And one of the specific requirements for AMBA accreditation is a minimum number of synchronous hours. And you can see right at the bottom of the slide there, there's a long, thin module. And it's not actually a module, though there is a module forms part of it. The MBA synchronous attendance, and you'll see in the brackets there, 0 credits, but 120 hours. That seems like an awful lot. However, we have a way to help you build those hours up, as we'll see in a minute. Synchronous hours, requirement, absolutely. The requirement is that you accrue a minimum of 120 hours of synchronous activity with us while you're studying on your course. We can assist with that by means of our directors' workshops. Now, they turn out to be extremely useful and well thought of, and they turn out to be well attended as well, because they're good things. They bring professionals into our environment from a range of industries. And what they also bring, apart from straightforward information, is a real world perspective. And that's a critical part of MBA. It's the critical part that AMBA want to be incorporated into the course. The real world, not just theory. Let's have it as it happens from people who actually do it. So they bring a clear sense of how to apply knowledge, because gaining knowledge is fine. If it just stays gained without being used, it's really not much use. So our speakers will bring that real world perspective in and demonstrate how it plays out in the real world. You're going to have the opportunity to take part in 5 of these directors' workshops per year. Each of the workshops takes place over the course of a week. And at the end, the speaker is going to set up a presentation, and you'll be split up into groups and work throughout the week to develop the presentation in answer to the questions you've been set. As I mentioned, you're going to need to accrue 120 synchronous hours. Over 2 years, that didn't ought to be too much of a problem. And for most, it isn't. What I want to tell you now, without it sounding sort of too negative, is when you come and study with us, if you do, don't underestimate the importance of that synchronous attendance. It really is critical, and I would advise you from now to make every effort to attend as many of these synchronous opportunities as come along. Okay, we mentioned we've got Q&A sessions. We've also got the directors' workshops as well. They all go together, so keep alert, stay awake. Look for these opportunities and take them and get that 120 hours, and then it's done. It's the thing that is part of and is a key component of our MBA. This MBA is also slightly different from others in that we have examinations. They don't occur in every module. But the 2 modules that do contain examinations are managerial economics and accounting and finance. What happens? Well, the format is, you will have experienced this before. There's no doubt about it. We're going to get to the first or second week of those modules. It depends on the module itself and the tutor. And then you'll be invited, if you want to think of it that way, to a timed open book examination. Okay, it will be at specific times, so you have to make sure you can attend. And it will consist of 3 equally weighted questions, and each of those questions will need to be answered in a formal essay style, with everything that goes with that. Okay. And when we think of each of those questions and the kind of answer or size of answer, it's a very bad way of putting it, but there we go. We're looking at probably around about 1,000 words, 500 to 1,000 words per question would be what we're looking for. That's just a snapshot of the module suite that you'll be engaged in. And I'm sure that they'll be maybe generating quite a few questions from that, which we'll be glad to answer at the end. So there's a little bit of extra to think about with the modules we've just been talking about: emerging technologies, data and information management, data-driven decision-making processes, designing in thinking techniques and the way they're applied, data analysis and visualization techniques, numerical, textual data, current developments in information and data management. All of those things and what I've discussed before will be part of that module, data and analytics. There's that first module you'll look at, which will be leading with impact, developing your understanding of leadership, current and critical issues, traditional approaches, the future of leadership, something to think about. And performing as a leader, and thinking about things like charisma. Is that important in leadership? Is it important in leadership, charisma? Here's a thought. And when we're looking at that, innovation and entrepreneurship, to understand a theoretical framework for entrepreneurship, examining the formation of those new ventures, organizational design and strategy, social and economic perspectives. Some of the things we looked at there were to do with the directors' workshops and some of our previous speakers. I've been some very august people. Henry LaFleming, Assistant Director of Sustainable and Climate Change at PricewaterhouseCoopers. It's a name that has come out of the BBC on many, many news reports throughout my life. They've been around for a while, a prestigious organization. Mehdi Dogri, Director of Digital Product and Experience at Barclays Bank. So we've got some fairly hefty organizations here. Liva Zubovic, I knew I was going to get that wrong. Anyway, Liva, Director of Fashion Block, and Rebecca Mwanga, Director of Product Marketing and Customer Experience at Key Support Services. And so that Directors' Workshops can bring all these people and more across a range of industries and into the classroom. In fact, we've got a few lined up for the coming year. One in particular who will be able to talk about developments in supply chain management and the importance of global logistics in these interesting times. It's the pandemic has affected global procurement in a quite fundamental way, and some of the things he'll be talking about will be quite interesting, I'm sure.
Okay, so you should now be able to see a webpage here, University of Essex Online. So this is a tour of the virtual learning environment from a student's perspective. And what I'll do is I'll go through some of the key points of the platform and then actually go into a demo of one of our taught modules on the MBA, just to give you an idea about what it's like to navigate around the platform, but then also access some of the content materials that we present to students. And some of those materials, as Steve mentioned in his presentation, you'll see actually in action here. So this is a central learning environment that all students get access to. There's one central learning platform for students to access, where you'll be able to access all the materials you'd need to successfully complete your program of study. So you'll get access to your assignments, your reading materials, feedback, grades, lecture casts, access to the live sessions, everything from one place. So hopefully it's nice and easy for you to get into the content when you need it. The platform is also responsive. So everything you see here can be accessed on a mobile, a tablet, desktop, laptop. It all responds depending on what size screen you're using, to give you a nice sort of flexible access to the learning platform. It's also personalized, so you'll only see the content that's relevant for your program at the right point in time. So this demo student that I'm using here actually has access to a lot of different modules, but you would just see the modules that are relevant to your program. So first of all, you'd see an induction module. So there are 2 weeks where we would take you through some of the basics of using the platform, bring you up to speed with some of the perhaps some academic writing skills, referencing and so on, before you then actually get access to your first taught module on the program. But this demo student's tied to a range of different things, but I'll jump straight into one of our taught modules here, the MBA Sustainable Ops module. Okay, so this is the module homepage. As I click around these pages, you'll probably keep noticing, or you might notice in the bottom right-hand corner here, we've got a live chat icon. Now this is on every page on the learning platform, and it's a great tool for you to use to access support through your program. So here, if I fill in my contact details, I can actually speak directly to my student support advisor directly through the learning platform. So I can start chatting and ask any questions through the platform that I might have. The advisor can actually also see which page I'm on. So I might be looking, I'm looking for a particular policy or resource. They could see I'm on the wrong place and direct me to the right resource. You can also obviously ring your advisor over the phone or send them an email. There's a whole support team there behind you to take you through the program. Okay, so this is the module homepage. We have some introductory text, some learning outcomes for the module. And then on the left-hand side here, you'll see some navigation. And we can see here that this module is split over 6 units of study. And essentially, a unit of study is basically a week of study. So the module lasts for 6 weeks. And each week, we present a variety of different content to you. And I'll come to some of that content in just a second. Each module also has a tutor office. So here we have a demo tutor profile, but this is where you'd see the contact details for your tutor who will support you through this particular module with any academic queries you might have about the content. The role of that tutor is also to provide you feedback and a grade on any of the assessments within the module. And you'll see in a second, if I go onto the deadline details page, you'll see that we break the assessment up into components throughout the module. So the tutor will be giving you feedback throughout the 6 weeks. And the idea is that you're able to build on that feedback as you progress through the module. So instead of having one big essay or one big exam at the end, there are regular points of assessment for you to demonstrate your understanding of the content, but also for us to give you feedback to help you build that understanding. And each of these components carries a different grading percentage in the grade book. In this particular module, we have a couple of discussion forums, some reflective journal entries, and then finally there's a written report towards the end. But the assessment model could change. As Steve mentioned, there could be an exam, maybe a presentation, it could be a report. So there's a variety of assessment to keep students engaged within the module. And this page will also show you the deadlines, the points at which these assessments are due. And these deadlines also populate your personalized calendar that's on the learning platform. The next page down is the seminar page. So there's also a series of live sessions in each module. These are synchronous sessions. So just as we're here today using Zoom, we use Zoom for these synchronous sessions. On the MBA, they're normally based around a case study. So in this example, there's a case study for students to read. There may be some additional resources, some discussion prompts for students to consider before the actual live event of that live synchronous sessions. It's a really good opportunity for students to not just meet the tutor in a live environment and speak to the tutor, but also to meet each other and to form learning communities online with your peers across the world, but in one space. The sessions are also recorded. So obviously you're encouraged to attend these sessions for the AMBER accreditation, but if you have to miss the odd one, they're also recorded. You can always listen back to those recordings as required. Each module also has some core module resources. Now these might be resources that don't align specifically with a unit of study, but that might just help you throughout the module. So for example, we have the whole reading list all in one place. We have the grading criteria here on one page. You're able to use a platform called Turnitin to check your reports before you submit them for assessment. So these are really handy tools that you might use on a frequent basis. You can get to those in the module resources page. I will just jump ahead. I won't go into the journal entry, but essentially the journal entry is where you reflect on your learning each fortnight. But I will go into the ebook. So the ebook is provided, again, directly through the learning platform. This is where we plug into another platform called VitalSource, and all the reading required on the program is provided through the module. So you don't have to go away and buy any textbooks or any additional reading material. We would either link to a core textbook. So here we've got one link here. By clicking on that, it's loaded up my core textbook here. I'll show you this in a second. But we also have an online library through the university with hundreds of thousands of journal articles, thousands of ebooks, and we'll point you to the relevant reading each week, depending on what that week is about. We'll direct you for what you should be reading each week. But the core textbook is normally provided in this platform called VitalSource. And VitalSource allows you to annotate the book. So for example, here I could highlight a section and I could add a note. And then if I was to log into this textbook on my tablet, the same note would appear on my tablet, on my phone, my other laptop, all synced across my different devices. So I can access whenever and wherever I want. There are also lots of nice accessibility features. So I could use text to speech. I can change the font size, background color, all these things. I can also download the book for offline access. So perhaps if I was traveling or didn't have internet access for a short period of time, I could always download the book and view it offline. But probably the most popular feature is in the VitalSource library. You can see this demo student who's tied to all sorts of modules now has a really varied collection of ebooks all in one central place. So I can search across these titles from one central space. So I could study perhaps a finance module in January and forget some kind of term by the end of the year. So I could search in this search box here for that financial terminology. It'll pull up the relevant textbook, and I could dip into that content throughout my program of study. It's a really nice platform to access that core reading. And of course, students also have access to the online Essex library, normally for additional reading, but it could be that we also point to ebooks or journal articles on those pages as well. Okay, so finally, those are some of the core pages within a module, but finally, we're into a unit of study. And where we say unit, we really just mean week. So week 1 has a particular topic. So here we're on ops management and processes, some intro text and some learning outcomes for the week. And then as I scroll down, there's a series of activities for students to complete as they work through the week. And we start with an introductory lecture cast. So if I click on this resource here, it'll load up the lecture. And this is our version of an online lecture. Now you can access this at any point. This isn't tied to a specific time. It's not a live lecture, it's an asynchronous activity. And what we do is we present a traditional lecture, but in a format that works for online delivery. And it looks something like this. So we start with some learning outcomes and some intro text. And then as I start the lecture cast as a student, I'm introduced to a variety of different media. So first of all, I have a quote from the textbook about ops management, a little intro paragraph. And then as I work through the content, you can see here now I have a piece of video. So I'll play this video. I'm just going to mute the audio there, but there's a voiceover going over the back of this piece of video, which is talking me through an introduction to ops management. And the visuals that we use really depends on what the content is about. So it might just be simple text on the screen. It may be that we need to annotate a quote, or maybe perhaps draw some kind of process. But the visual should be engaging and keep students engaged with the content. The video is also relatively short. So you can see here it's a fairly short introductory video, about 2-3 minutes. But as I work through the content, so if I go to the next page, you can see on the next page I have a different format. So here we have an interactive image. So we're working through the triple bottom line. it's an interactive image. It could be an interactive timeline. It could be a drag and drop activity. It really depends on what the content is about. But you'll see that at regular points within this content, you have the opportunity to check that you understand the content that's gone before. So here, a simple multiple choice question. I'll just check that I might understand that. Okay, I get that right, a bit of feedback. And the next page, let's get one wrong. I didn't get that question right. I get a bit of feedback for why I didn't get it right. Now, this just doesn't matter. It will give me a score to show my performance in this little quiz. This is just for me to check my understanding of the content. I can retake this. This doesn't contribute to my grade in any way. It's just a way of students engaging with the content rather than sitting and watching a passive video. And we break that video up and provide the students the opportunity to engage. And then you can see here that we didn't really watch all that video, so perhaps I could go back to that step. Didn't click on everything there. I can go back and complete that when it's convenient for me. I don't have to sit this at a particular time. So that's a lecture cast. So you'd see a lecture cast on the MBA every week, and they normally use to introduce the topic that week. So this week it's an introduction to ops management, but the next week I have a different topic. Another activity this week is the reading. So as I said earlier, every week has directed reading. So here we're directed to read chapter 1 from the core textbook, but then there's some additional reading that's been pointed out here. So perhaps these are additional journal articles. They could be video assets. So it could be some TED Talks. It could be articles on websites. It really depends on the content again, but we'll give you that direction each week. This content will align with the learning outcomes that have been identified this week. And then if I go back to week 1 again, I think this week I have a discussion forum here as well. So if I go into the discussion forum, you can see here we've been given a discussion, a case study to consider, some discussion prompts. And then here I'm asked to respond to these prompts in this discussion forum. So simply click on add a new discussion, put in the subject, and then this is where my post. So my post goes in here, and then as the discussion forum proceeds over normally a 2-week period, you would be asked to respond to your peers' contributions. The tutor would also be involved in the discussion, so they may contribute to keep the discussion on track. But then in this module, this forum is assessed, so you'd also receive a grade and some feedback for your activity in that discussion forum. And hopefully you could use that feedback on your next discussion forum, which falls later on in the module. And then if I go into week 2, you'll see that the pattern remains fairly consistent. So here we have a similar structure. There's a topic, there's some learning outcomes, and then there's some more activities for me to complete. So this week I have a different lecture cast, some different reading. And actually this week I have a reflective activity to enter my journal entry for that particular 2-week period. And I would simply progress through to the end of the module where I'd submit my final report. So the idea is that we make the content as engaging and accessible as possible, and keep it nice and interesting for students, regular points of engagement, but also regular points for you to receive feedback as you work through the module, as you proceed through the program. Okay, so hopefully that's a useful tour of the learning platform. It gives you a good idea of the learning environment. I'll just stop sharing there, and I'll hand over to my co-hosts.
So this is part of the admissions process here. So I'm just going to quickly talk through here the entry requirements for the online MBA program. So as you can see there, we have got 2 entry routes onto the program. So we've got an academic entry route where we would require you to have an undergraduate degree from an approved institution. So this will need to be equivalent to the honours degree. Alternatively, you would need to have a relevant professional qualification. So some examples of that might be ACCA or Prince 2 qualifications. Those would be acceptable professional qualifications. Along with that academic requirement, you would need to have at least 3 years relevant professional work experience. And now this would need to be post-graduation as well. So if you have only recently graduated from your undergraduate degree, ideally to be prepared for the MBA program, you would need to gain at least 3 years professional work experience post-graduation first. And then alternatively, we have got a work experience entry route as well. So on the work experience entry route, we would be looking for a minimum of 5 years relevant managerial experience. This would need to be supported by references. So you would need to provide references during the application process. References would need to be provided by either senior managers or someone in a senior position to yourselves. And along with that, you would need to provide a 2,000-word essay that outlines a range of business situations that you have experienced as well. If English is not your first language, we would also require evidence of this. So we would need an IELTS, so this would be the academic IELTS. It would need to have an overall score of 6.5 or above. Alternatively, you may have an equivalent qualification to IELTS, maybe TOEFL, or maybe you've studied a degree in English, that would be acceptable as well. Alternatively, we do also have a free online English language test available. So this is called KITE. So if we do require you to have provide English language proficiency evidence, then we do have a free online English language test available if you don't already have a qualification. So this would be issued to you by your admissions advisor during the application process. So that's just a bit there about the entry requirements. Here I'm just going to run through a bit more of the actual admissions process. Sorry, it's just paused there. So just in terms of the enrolment process, this is the full admissions process here. So initially you'll start with the inquiry stage. So you might make an inquiry about the course. So if at this stage you're not quite ready to make an application, but you have got some specific questions and you'd like to have a bit more of a detailed discussion with one of our admissions advisors, then please do feel free to get in touch with the admissions team. And as I say, you will be assigned a dedicated admissions advisor who will be with you throughout your enrolment journey. So all you need to do is either call them or send them an email and they'll be on hand to answer any questions. When you are ready to apply, applications can be submitted online. So I will go through that shortly, but applications are submitted directly through the website. There is no cost to apply. So feel free to submit that, and even if you're not sure if you're eligible, we can assess your documents and have a look at the application to make that judgment. So once we've got all of your application and all of the supporting documents, your application will go through the review stage. So this will be reviewed by the admissions team, and in some cases it may be reviewed by the business academic department as well. If your application is approved for the MBA program, we conduct what we call a pre-enrollment review. So for the pre-enrollment review, this is a 10 to 15 minute phone call that will take place with your admissions advisor. Sometimes it may take a bit longer than that, but the initial point for us to go through that is to go over some final points about the MBA program, how it works, but also the next steps of the admissions process. Upon completion of that, we will then issue you your formal offer letter, which you will receive via email. With your formal offer letter, you will receive a payment plan and you will receive an indicative study planner to outline what your study plan may look like. Upon receipt of the offer letter, you will need to formally accept your place on the programme, and you will need to pay your first deposit payments. That'll either be a monthly or your full upfront fee. Once we've got that from you, you would be enrolled onto the programme. Once you have been enrolled onto the programme, you will be passed to the student support team, where you will be assigned a student support advisor who will then be with you throughout the course of your studies. So in terms of the tuition fees for the MBA programme, so the full tuition fee is £15,000. Now, we do have academic scholarships available. These are up to £5,000. They are awarded on a merit basis. So once we've got your application, we would make an assessment then to see if you would be eligible for this. You will also need to complete a scholarship application form in order to apply for it as well. So again, your admissions advisor would discuss that with you, let you know if you're eligible, and provide you with that form. We also offer partial scholarships for international students. So we've got international scholarships for students from Africa, the Caribbean and India. Now, you can't have more than one scholarship. So if you were eligible for the academic scholarship, then this would be the one that we would go for. You wouldn't be able to have the academic scholarship as well as the international scholarship. For UK students who are based in England, you would be able to apply for a postgraduate student loan. Now, the maximum that you can apply for a postgraduate student loan is £11,222. So unless you've got an academic scholarship, there may be some further tuition fees that you might need to make up for, even if you are able to apply for a student loan. However, if you are awarded scholarships, then you might be able to cover that fully with the student loan. We've also got alumni discount available of 10%. So if you are an alumni of the University of Essex or the University of Essex Online, so maybe you've already completed a bachelor degree either on campus or with the online provision, then you would be eligible for a 10% alumni discount towards the fees of the MBA as well. Okay, and just to make you aware, this is net of any applicable sales tax. So this would be discussed again with your admissions advisor during the application process, but there are some countries where we may need to add an additional sales tax. So in terms of payment methods, so there's no hidden costs. So that is the final fee, the £15,000. Everything is included with that. So the application process, all of your resources, so ebooks, access to the online library, all of that is covered. So there's no extra additional fees. We have monthly payment options available, so you can pay on a monthly basis. Alternatively, you can pay your fees up front, where you will receive a 10% discount for doing so as well. To actually make your payment, we have an online payment portal, so this makes paying your fees easy and accessible. So once you log on to the online payment portal, you can select the country that you'll be paying from, and then you will be presented with the different options available. Some of these will include bank transfers, credit card payments or debit card payments. As I say, this will vary by country, so you would just log on to there, select the country that you're paying from, and you'll be able to then see what options are available to you. We also do offer a 21-day money-back guarantee. So what this means is during the first 21 days of the programme, if you decide that the course is not right for you, or if you don't pass your initial induction assignment that you'll need to complete, then you would be eligible for a full refund. So if you've paid up front, you'd get the full upfront fee back. If you've just paid your first monthly payment, again, you would have that full monthly payment back. So it is a good way for you to be able to see if the course is right for you and if online study is right for you as well. So in terms of the application process, so if you are ready to apply, then applications can be submitted online on our website. So the direct link is there on the bottom of the screen now. As part of your initial application, you will need to provide a 300 to 500 word personal statement. Now, as part of your personal statement, you will need to outline why you would like to study the MBA course, why you would like to study online, any relevant academic qualifications or work experience that you've got, and then why you would like to use this qualification in the future, maybe to enhance your career. You then will also need to provide a copy of some form of photo ID. So this can be things like driving license, passports, residency cards. The main things that we will be looking for with that would be your full legal name, a photo, and your date of birth, and it will need to be valid as well. We can't accept expired identification. You will also need to provide copies of any educational certificates that you've got. If you've also got your transcripts, then that would be helpful, so we can see further details about the modules you've studied and maybe your final gradings. And a copy of your up-to-date CV as well. So these are the initial documents that's required. During the application process, we may require further documents. So for example, if you are on the work experience route, as discussed earlier, we would then need to request references to support your application. Now, the next available intake for the MBA programme will be the 27th of October. So as it says there, the application deadline is the 22nd of October. Now, this is also the enrolment deadline, so we would need to get your application processed by this date, and you would need to be enrolled onto the programme. So if you are ready to apply now, I would recommend that you do get that application in as soon as possible so that we can start working on that for you. And then just to finalise, if you have got any questions at all, if you're unsure about whether you might be eligible for the programme, or you've just got some further specific questions that you want to ask before you proceed with an application, then please do feel free to get in touch with the admissions team, either sending inquiries to our inbox or call the direct admissions line. And as I say, we've got a dedicated admissions team on hand that'll be more than happy to help you with that. Okay.
Thank you very much indeed, Stephen and Katie. Some excellent information on how things work in the online world and how you can access this course should you think that it's right for you. Well, that's the question. Why is this MBA right for you? Let's just recap what we said. It's one of the only 100% online MBAs that exist in the first place, and not only that, it's accredited by that association of MBAs. It's gold standard, if you like. Within the course that we deliver, we've got an excellent component in the shape of directors' workshops that help to take all that theory and contextualize it, give it a real world context and perspective. Which most people that experience it find extremely useful, and it's something you can carry away. It's one of those takeaways that you can then utilize when you leave and start working in the firms that you're going to be working with in the future. It really is a great opportunity, this, to learn and to network with students from literally all around the world. It's a great, you literally, a worldwide fellowship is out there waiting. And within the course itself, as we saw from that structure, we've got a very broad range of modules, from the quite technical with data and analytics, through leadership and entrepreneurship, which are subjects that you would absolutely expect. And then supporting that are fairly substantial modules like business planning. This is an excellent opportunity for you to think about. I can say anything I like about this, but The people that really matter are the people that have studied with us before and have gone on to success. So I'll leave the final word with one of our old students, one of our alumni. What did she say? I'm happy to say that I am already using it. When she was asked about how you plan to use it, I have just started my new role of Senior Project Analyst for the Bermuda Monetary Authority, and that's full-time. And she got some recommendations for prospective students. If you're waiting for the right time, it's now. It's an incredibly practical course, and you will be able to apply the things that you learn straight away, right away. There will never be a perfect time, so today is as good as any. That said, don't overcommit. It's a fair point, is that. This is a substantial course. It's a big piece of work you'll be taking on, but it's worth it. She said that I made that mistake and it made things much, much harder than they needed to be. So you, in the same way as any academic course, you've got to look at it, you've got to understand that course and not overcommit to it. Okay, so that's our new MBA.